Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Emma, and today we have a very special video because I'm going to talk to you about how to repot your plants. Sometimes it's a little bit difficult to know when is the right time to repot your plant, but there's a couple tricks you can go by. So one, if the plant looks too big for its pot. Two, if the roots are coming out the drainage holes in the bottom. Three, if the soil looks like it's getting calcified at the top. Four, if it dries out quickly. Or five, you can go by the general rule that you can repot about every 12 to 18 months, but that really depends. Some plants really can go for so much longer, and some plants need to be repotted more often. It really depends on the plant and the light and everything. So repot when you feel is best, and when you feel that your plant will have most success in a new pot. Also, the best time to repot your new plant is in early spring, because that's the start of the growing season, and the plant will really benefit from more space right then. Right, let's get started. So you need some supplies to repot. First of all, I've laid down newspaper to keep my table nice and clean. Unfortunately, I don't have an outside space that I can use, which would make everything easier, but I just use newspaper to keep my table clean. You just fold it up at the end and presto, you're clean again. Obviously, you need the plants you want to be repotting. You need the new pots that you want to pot into. I use a bucket to catch the old soil. You need water for after you're done, and you need fresh soil to put your new plants in. Picking a new pot size is really important. You don't want to pick a pot that's too big for your plant, because if you put it in too big of a space, it doesn't really know where to go, and it can actually hinder the growth of your plant. So the best thing to do is get a pot that's approximately one size bigger than your previous plant pot. So this one here is a 10 centimeter pot, and in here I have a 12.5 centimeter pot. And so that's good because there's about a finger on each side between the plant and the pot. So 2 centimeters in diameter, or an inch or two, depending how big your plant is, obviously. The bigger the plant, the bigger the growth in pot size needs to be. But because my plants are small, I'm just gonna have about a centimeter on each side, or half an inch. So that will be perfect. Cool. So I am going to start with my satin pothos right here. I've had him for about 8 months now, but I knew he needed a new pot because obviously he has massive roots coming out of the bottom. So one thing you want to make sure you do before you repot your plants is that you water them a day or two before, and this helps make sure that they're nice and healthy before you go giving them a little bit of a shock by having a new home situation. So firstly, because I keep all my plants in nursery pots, I find it a little bit easier to repot as well, because I can give it the roots a little squeeze in order to loosen it from its nursery pot. And over the bucket, because I don't want to get soil everywhere, I grab sideways the bundle of base of the stems, and because I've loosened the pot, it's quite easy, and I gently pull out over the bucket. And as you can see here, there is a lot of root binding. The roots have started going in circles around the bottom of the pot. That is another surefire sign to know that it's time to repot your plant. So I'm just gonna loosen up the roots a little bit, get a little bit of this old soil off. There we go, there we go. And you can leave some soil, but I personally don't want to for this video because I had a bit of bout of fungus gnats, and so I don't want the old soil, which was a little bit contaminated, to be put back in. So once you've done that, I'm just going to set that aside quickly and grab my soil. I'm just using all-purpose compost. It's what they sell at my local hardware store, and so it's pretty easy. And some people like to wear gloves during this, but I personally don't. I don't really care if my hands get dirty. I kind of like it. It makes me feel less of a city girl, which I currently am. But yeah, I like getting my hands dirty. It makes me feel part of the world. You want to make sure that in your new pot you have a base layer of soil underneath, because obviously this plant is smaller and so it needs more soil to be put in. So I just put a good few centimeters, an inch or so at the bottom of the pot, because I know that's how big the difference in size of pots is. You can see this level here is where I want to make the change. So I've put some soil in, and now I take my plant, roots and all, and I put it in the pot. And then you plant new soil around the sides of the pot. Trying to keep the plant centered. Packing it in around the sides. You can tap the pot on the table a bit to get the air out of the pot, because you don't want to leave too much air in there. And then where the soil falls out, you can put more in. After you finish putting the soil in the pot, you want to make sure you give it a good water. This will also ensure that all the air holes have fallen out of the soil, and then there you go, repotted. Simple as that. Nextly, I'm going to repot this little guy. As you can see, also his roots are coming out the bottom of the drainage holes. And I'm actually going to put him in the pot that the satin pothos just came from. As you can see, I'm really messy about this. I'm not good at keeping it all in one place. That's why I put down the newspaper, because if I didn't, this place would be a mess and I would have to give my house a nice deep clean. So one thing that's super important is that you don't cover the stems too much, because the stems are a part of the plant that's supposed to be out of the soil. And so if you cover up the stems too much when you repot, it actually is harmful to the plant and could actually cause them to rot when watered, and we really don't want that. Right, number 2, finito. So this one's gonna be a little bit more difficult than previously, just because of it not being in a nursery pot. It is just straight in the planter, which I did because I was a little bit more new to houseplants, and I actually grew this plant from a propagation that I did. It was my first ever propagation, and so I think I was just a little bit too excited about successfully propagating plants before I remembered to put it in a nursery pot. I wanted it straight in my pot because I was really excited about it. So I am going to tap the sides of this one just to kind of hopefully break it off from the sides a little bit, and then grab the plants from the base, sideways, kind of upside down even, kind of digging my fingers into the soil a bit. And you want to be like gentle but firm when you're repotting your houseplants, because you don't want to break the plants off from their roots, but you want to be able to get the plant out of the pot. So, and there we go. Yeah, see, obviously this one was also really repotted. You could see it was like, it's actually really funny. It's making the exact shape of the pot. That's actually kind of cute. But yeah, it was definitely time for a repot on this one. There we go, all sorted. Lastly, I know this doesn't really fall under the repotting section, but more of the potting for the first time section. I'm going to be potting my monkey mask. Vine, Swiss cheese vine, Monstera Adansoni? Monstera Adansoni? I think that's how you say it. I've been propagating it in water for probably like a couple months now, like 6 weeks or so to 2 months. And its roots have gotten super long. You can see here, like the longest one probably about 3 inches, which is pretty crazy. Just from water and sunlight, that's pretty insane. It's slightly different potting houseplants from propagations, because you kind of have to more make a hole in the center of the soil and then you put the root system into that. But you just give it a nice little plop in there. Kind of push the roots down. You want to make sure that they're all facing downwards, not upwards. And then add more soil on top. So proud plant mom. Check me out, the proud plant lady. One thing about transferring plants from water to soil, in the first few days, maybe even the first few weeks, it probably helps to water it a little bit more than usual so the roots get used to being in the soil, because it is a bit of a shock to go from water to soil. There we go. So once you've repotted them into their nursery pots, you can put them again in decorative pots like I like to, and then they just fit perfectly in here like that. Yay! Yeah, so that's it. See, the newspaper did its job. It's a bit soggy and wet and full of soil. My hands are covered in soil, but that's how I like it. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video and that you have success repotting your plant in the future. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a like and comment down below more houseplant stuff you'd like me to talk about in the future. And subscribe for more videos. Thank you so much. See you guys later.